All right, welcome. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats, maybe grab a magnifying glass, and dive headfirst into the world of cloud monitoring. We're going to treat this whole thing like a digital mystery, full of clues, culprits, and some pretty high-stakes cases. So let's get our investigation started. Okay, picture this. It's 3 a.m., of course it is. Your pager is screaming, alarms are blaring everywhere, your main application is completely down, customers are already lighting up social media, and every single second of this downtime is costing you real money, and maybe worse, your reputation. The pressure is on. You've basically got a digital crime scene. But do you have any idea where to even begin looking? The reason things can break so spectacularly is that cloud environments are just incredibly dynamic. I mean, think about it. Resources are scaling up, then down, services are constantly being updated, and your apps are spread all over the globe. It's this powerful, amazing system, but it's also kind of chaotic by nature. And in that chaos, one tiny change can cause these massive, unexpected tidal waves of failure. So, when you're staring down all that complexity, who are you going to call? Well, you call in the expert, right? The specialist who knows how to cut through the noise and find the truth. You call in the cloud detective. And our detective's number one tool, their primary method of investigation, is cloud monitoring.
So, what is cloud monitoring, really? At its core, it's the process of systematically watching everything, and I mean everything, that's happening in your cloud environment. The big goal here is something called observability, which is just a fancy way of saying you can see and understand the state of your systems at any given moment. This is what lets you respond at lightning speed when things go wrong, and hopefully lets you fine-tune performance before they go wrong.
And what's so cool here is the sheer scope of our detective's beat. It's not just about one thing, it's the whole shebang. We're talking about investigating the health of your databases, the performance of your servers, and then following that trail all the way out to what's arguably the most critical piece of the puzzle, the actual experience of your end users. It's a full spectrum investigation, from the metal all the way to the mouse click. Now, any good detective will tell you the very first step in solving a case is gathering the evidence. And in our digital world, every single action, every process, every error, it all leaves behind a trail of clues. The job of our cloud detective is to know exactly where to look for them and how to bag them. And this could not be more true in the cloud. These clues are our raw data. They're the digital breadcrumbs that are going to lead us right to the root cause of whatever problem we're facing. And the most fundamental clues of all? They're called logs. What we're looking at here are the main types of evidence our detective is going to be collecting. Honestly, the best way to think about these is like different kinds of fingerprints left at a crime scene. Each one tells a totally unique part of the story, and when you put them all together, you get a complete picture of exactly what went down. So let's quickly break down these digital fingerprints. Application logs, think of these like a suspect's diary. They tell us what the software was thinking and doing right before the incident. System logs are more like the building's maintenance records. They detail everything the operating system was up to. Security logs, oh, that's your security camera footage for sure. It shows who tried to get in and when. Network logs map out all the roads, tracking traffic flow to see if there were any weird traffic jams or detours. And finally, cloud service logs. These are like reports from your informant on the inside, documenting every single interaction with the cloud provider itself. The key thing to remember is that a good detective needs all of them to really solve the mystery. Okay, so we've got our clues. But a giant pile of fingerprints is pretty useless if you don't have a system to organize and analyze them. So now it's time to pop open our detective's toolkit and check out the different ways we can make sense of all this data. At a really high level, it boils down to a strategic choice. Do you build one massive central watchtower so you can see everything from a single vantage point? Or do you put guards everywhere and make each one responsible for their own little patch of land? Let's dig into how this plays out. First, you've got the centralized, or watchtower approach. It's simple, which is why it's great for startups and smaller systems. But, and it's a big but, it's also a single point of failure. If the tower goes down, you're blind. Then you have decentralized. This is like having separate security teams for each building in a giant campus. You see this a lot in big enterprises that have siloed departments. Finally, there's the modern cloud-native way, distributed. Here, monitoring is a shared responsibility baked into the whole system. This makes it super resilient and absolutely perfect for those complex microservices-based environments we talked about earlier. Now, besides just collecting logs after something breaks, a modern detective uses proactive tools. And one of the most important is the health check. Think of it like an automated patrol that's constantly walking the beat, tapping each service on the shoulder and just asking a simple question.
Hey, you okay over there? And these checks get pretty specific too. A liveness probe just wants to know, are you even running? A readiness probe goes a step further and asks, okay, you're running, but are you ready to actually do work? And then a startup probe is for when things are just booting up, asking, hey, have you finished initializing yet? Answering these simple questions is absolutely crucial because it stops you from sending frustrated users to a service that's down or just not ready for them. So, we've gathered our clues and we've organized our investigation. Now comes the really fun part, putting it all together, finding the patterns, and actually cracking the case. This is where raw data finally turns into real insight. I mean, let's be real, terabytes of logs are just noise. They're useless on their own. The real magic happens when you have the right tools and techniques to sift through all that noise, connect the dots, and find that one clear signal that tells you exactly what went wrong. And our detective isn't working with just a simple magnifying glass. No way. There is a huge arsenal of sophisticated tools out there, from open source projects to massive enterprise platforms, all designed to help analyze data at a scale that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. As you can see, the toolkit is vast. Now, a key tool in any investigation is the evidence board, right? In our world, that's the dashboard. This is where all the clues, the metrics, the logs, the traces, they all get pinned up and visualized together. So when that 3 a.m. alarm goes off, you're not just scrambling around in the dark. Instead, you've got a single place to look that shows you that spike in network traffic, the error logs that go with it, and the health check that's failing all in one view. And the big cloud providers, AWS, Azure, GCP, they all have powerful native tools that do exactly this. Of course, you can't just stare at a dashboard 24/7. That's where alerting comes in. This is the automated system that is watching 24/7, and it's the thing that wakes you up at 3 a.m. It's that moment your system basically shouts, hey, I found something critical. It's the crucial link that turns a passive observation into an urgent, actionable notification. It gets the right info to the right person at exactly the right time. This is the break in the case. So far, we've been talking about our detective as someone who solves technical mysteries. But in the cloud, one of the biggest mysteries you'll face is often a financial one. Where is all the money going? Suddenly, our detective needs to be a forensic accountant too. And that's exactly where this idea of FinOps comes in. It's basically the practice of applying the same monitoring and observability principles to your cloud spending. You use billing dashboards, budgets, and cost forecasts to bring financial accountability to your engineering teams, making sure that your cloud bill doesn't become the next big unsolved mystery you have to deal with. Which brings us to our final thought here. Look, it's pretty easy to set up some tools that just watch your systems. But collecting data is not the same thing as generating insight. So the real question you should be asking yourself is this. Is your monitoring system truly acting like a detective? Is it just passively watching the scene? Or is it actively gathering clues, connecting the dots, and actually solving the cases that matter most to your business?